Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another action-packed, exciting episode of Scotty's Record Shop. On this particular episode, I am going to be looking at the and ranking the studio discography of Pink Floyd. I was kind of inspired to listen to more Pink Floyd after getting into the newest release at Pompeii and doing a review on that. I just started listening to more Floyd. It's like, and there was some things that I hadn't listened to for quite some time. And I'll be honest with you, some of the albums that I liked more have kind of gone down, and some of the albums that I didn't like as much have gone up a little bit. So kind of weird how that works. Time does strange things, doesn't it? Quite a few albums here. We have a stack of albums, see, and we have some CDs here, and one album I do not have a physical copy of. I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. So anyway, let's get this going. By the way, let me know what you think the best Pink Floyd albums are. You know, this is just my thoughts on where I am today. And 6 months from now, 2 weeks from now, this may end up being a different list. Not entirely, but especially at the top, things are kind of juggling around here a little bit. It depends on the day, especially the top two, really, for me. Uh, like, subscribe, comment, do anything you can. Tell a friend, tell an enemy about Scotty's Record Shop and that I am back after all these years. Back in town and back in business, making videos for you guys. So, again, thank you for watching these things. And please do those things. I'd greatly appreciate it. It would make the old man very happy. Okay? Okay, so let's get into it. Uh, I watched a British YouTuber, and I'm not picking on the British accent when I do this. So I don't know how sensitive sometimes people are, but he referred to this first album as a bloody turd. It's a bloody turd. And I have to agree with him. Now, this is a weird album because one disc is live. If I could count that one disc that's live, it would go up a little bit because the live disc is really pretty good. But the studio disc, uh, Umaguma, 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 is is a tad. It's just each member got a half of a side of the album. Uh, eh, do whatever you want, and no, it no. I can't do it. The live album I'll listen to, and I do from time to time. 1969, I believe this was. If you are if you are into the 70s era Pink Floyd, if you want to get into Pink Floyd period, don't start with this, okay? Some people love this album. I guess it's very experimental. Okay, I guess. Your next one came out right before that, 1969. It was a soundtrack album to a movie called More, a very not so good, not so good movie. Excuse me, not so good movie. There's a couple really good things on here though. Um, Mostly kind of incidental music. If you like movie soundtrack stuff, kind of incidental kind of music and stuff, you would appreciate this probably more than I do. But 1969, More. Okay. Okay. The next one is an album I don't have. Endless River. I just decided to not get that. I if I can find the CD of it fairly inexpensive, I'll grab it. It was really leftovers from the Division Bell. This was after Richard Wright had passed away, and um, Nick Mason and David Gilmour were kind of looking to get that stuff out and kind of pay tribute to Rick Wright's amazing keyboarding. And it is a very interesting album. It's not bad. More of a mood kind of thing, kind of a moody kind of piece. A lot of keyboards on it. Um, but it's worth a listen. It's worth a at least a streaming. If you kind of like Pink Floyd, you might really dig that. So anyway, that's the next in line. Again, I don't have that in physical format. Okay, going next here. No, let's see here. What do we got? Yeah, definitely the final cut. This was the final album with Roger Waters on it. Roger Waters was in complete control of the band. Rick Wright, I believe, was out of the band at this point in time. I know that he got booted during the wall because he wasn't caving in and bowing down to Roger Waters. I guess I don't know. Roger Waters was in complete control of this. Not horrible. I remember when this came out in '83, we were all like, "Oh, great! There's a new Pink Floyd album." And then most of us were like, "Oh, okay." You could tell these were leftovers, sort of from the wall stuff. And I may end up saying this more than once um, in this video. Roger Waters is a great lyricist. Okay. However, I sincerely hope that the man is happier in life than his writings. This is a very downer album for me. I just find it, I don't even really want to listen to it much anymore. I did listen to it a few times over the last month just to kind of get into that, you know. Maybe it's changed. It hasn't changed for me. So it's down there. Okay. This album gets more crap than I think it deserves. Uh, where this was a complete Roger Waters album. Really, this is a Roger Waters solo album with some support from the members of Pink Floyd. The same could be said for this, only for David Gilmour. This is more of a David Gilmour solo album than anything. He brought in um, Nick Mason and Rick Wright towards, he, he started this off as a solo album, and it just he brought in the other two. I think kind of to like, okay, look, I could either play. I heard somebody else say this. I don't know how true this is, but it may be demeaning. I don't mean it to be, but another YouTuber we talked about this album and said, well, you know, um, Gilmore was thinking I could play clubs if I make this a solo album, or I could play arenas and big stadiums if I make this a Pink Floyd album. So he got the guys in. I don't blame him. And I'll be honest with you, this is not that bad of an album. Um, David Gilmour's wife takes a lot of crap for her writing. She's not Roger Waters. Her writing is nothing like Roger Waters. She's not a horrible lyricist. Um, I don't want to compare her to Paul McCartney because Paul McCartney is an amazing lyricist, but in some ways it would be the same thing. Have Paul McCartney writing lyrics for a Pink Floyd album. It wouldn't work. I don't think it would work. I don't think that he could do it. And that's nothing against Paul McCartney. I absolutely love Paul McCartney and the Beatles. But, you know, the 80s production too on this, I think kind of hurt it. 87. Songs are not bad. And there's a 2019 remake of this where they kind of stripped it down, stripped the 80s production down, um, and kind of raised up the contributions that Rick Wright and Nick Mason made to this album. So I think it's a better listen, but still, I don't mind this album. I've got to put myself in an 80s frame of mind. But when this came out, honestly, this I handled this much better when this came out than this. I'm sorry. It just this was a much lighter, easily digestible, less negative release. So um, that's where this lays. I'm not counting like this is number 7 or something. It's not. It's my next in line of favorite Pink Floyd albums. Okay. Okay. Next one, Saucer Full of Secrets. Some people put this a little higher. Um, I They were kind of lost at this point in time. They had lost their leader. They had lost their beacon of hope. And at this point in time, they were a five-piece band. Um, Sid Barrett was not there. I mean, he was so far gone by this point in time. They had added um, David Gilmour on guitar, and he didn't quite know who he was as a guitarist, didn't know where he fit in. He had commented that he joined the band to kind of fill in when Sid Barrett had bottomed out, when he was like standing there on stage, staring at the audience, not knowing where he was because he was so mentally ill and so high on acid. That's when David Gilmour would go, okay, I'm singing and I'm doing his parts. That's how he started. And they didn't think the band was going to last much after this. You know, this was just kind of fulfilling their obligations. There's some really good stuff on this, though. Um, there's some really, really decent stuff. This is not, I'll say this more than once with some albums. This is not your 70s classic era per se Pink Floyd, but it's definitely worth a listen. 1968, A Saucer Full of Secrets, their second album. My alarm clock, my cuckoo clock. Okay, where are we going now? Now, The Division Bell. I like this album. Um, Again, the lyrics on this are not Roger Waters' lyrics. You have David Gilmour's girlfriend, wife, I'm not sure where she was at that time, writing them for the most part. And yeah, it's the same thing as the previous album. But all of the members, the remaining members of Pink Floyd, minus obviously Roger Waters, was not on this album. Were on this album. Roger Waters wasn't. And I find this to be a more unified, more Pink Floydy sounding album. And David Gilmour does some fantastic guitar work on this album. He really does. They when they went into the recording studio, you could tell that the intention was to make a Pink Floyd album. I saw them for this tour, and they did a fantastic job. They really did. Saw them down in Boston. Well, not really in Boston, but Sullivan Stadium, Schaefer Stadium, Sullivan Stadium. Is that what it is now? Anyway, fantastic show. I feel bad for anybody who was tripping though, because it was just an amazing light show, an amazing band. So this is my next in line as far as favorite Pink Floyd albums, The Division Bell. This one's gonna maybe piss a few people off, and that's okay. I have a good reason for this. Some consider this their ultimate masterpiece. Wall. Why doesn't this rank higher? When I'm going to be doing more review ranking videos, and you're going to find out that I'm not a big fan of double albums. Okay, very few double albums really do it for me. They just most of the time, and I'm even talking like the White Album, things like that. I think if they were chopped down to a single album, they would be absolute drop dead masterpieces. This is a masterpiece in many ways. It's too long, and honestly, as time goes on, I feel less drawn to this album. It is it's a very downer album. I worked a lot of my years in the mental health field, and full disclosure, I have I suffer from depression from time to time. A lot of people do, you know. Um, and and by the way, there's nothing to be ashamed of either, you know. Uh, but I worked in the mental health field for years and years and years, and I used to joke with people, if you're depressed, never listen to The Wall. Never listen to The Wall. It's such a downer album. And oh, 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know what possessed me, but I was really down, and the thought came through my head, I'm really down. I'm in the mood for this album. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to The Wall. Yeah, yeah. No, don't do that. It was, it was horrible. Honestly, it changed my outlook on this album forever because I realized just what a negative effect this album had on me. It just shoved me even further into a hole. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. I really hope that Roger Waters is a much happier human being in his personal life than he is in his artistic world. This is brilliant stuff on here. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Classic, drop dead classic Pink Floyd stuff on this album. But I just I can't do it all the way through anymore. I just can't. So anyway, that's where I'm at. If you rate this higher, remember these are my thoughts, these are my feelings, this is where I'm at today. If you disagree with me, that's great actually. Comment below. Say, I think The Wall is a masterpiece and it's the number one album for me. Let me know what your favorite albums by Pink Floyd are. Let me know what your least favorite albums are by Pink Floyd. I love seeing that stuff. I try to read every comment and at least put a thumbs up on them or even comment. Luckily, my channel's small enough now where I can still kind of comment on everybody. Hopefully, hint, 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 wink, wink, the channel grows exponentially, so I can't do that. Okay, there's a hope, But for now, I can still read everybody's comments and try to. So comment. Let me know where you think I'm at. Let me know where you're at with Pink Floyd stuff. Okay, does this album bum you out, even though it's a masterpiece? Let me know. Okay, where are we now? Okay. Okay. This is one of those albums that I didn't care for or get or whatever for a long time, to the point where I never even bought the album. I bought the CD. Recently, I've been listening to this and I've been really digging this. I'm not kidding. 1970, Adam Hart Mother. The cow. I love the cow. I'm sorry. This look at that. This is crazy. Let's put an album out with a freaking cow on the cover. Doesn't even say who we are. Gutsy, gutsy kids. You know what? This was the very first Pink Floyd album to go to number one in the UK. I believe, memory serves me correctly, and we can all laugh at that, right? We know this by now, right? Memory serves me correctly. This is the first charting album by Pink Floyd in America. Adam Hart Mother, a long 20 plus minutes piece of music with orchestra, with choirs. There's a 4 or 5 minute piece 2/3 of the way through where everything just gets abstract and it's like being in the middle of a tornado where everything is just flying around you. I think that part of it is a little too long. A minute or two of that chaos would have been perfect. But overall, this is not bad for me. It's grown in stature. Again, if you're new to Pink Floyd, don't start with this. But if you've been around Pink Floyd for a while, and even if you're more just a fan of the classic 70s era stuff, and you want to expand, you may want to try this. Side two is shorter pieces. Starts off with Roger Waters' song "If," which is really, I think, him lamenting over his relationship with Sid Barrett. Really, if I could have done more for you, if I was a good man, it's really sad, but not like this. Society sucks. Kind of the Roger Waters of the future. This is just lamenting, kind of sad. It's just Roger Waters and the guitar. Really like that song. Yes, very very stripped down. It's not the crazy psychedelic Pink Floyd stuff, but this is a pretty darn good album. In 1970, an Adam Hart Mother. Next one, their second soundtrack. This is an interesting one. This is the album that came out after Metal. This came out in 1972. I'm probably going to get these two, Adam Hart Mother and this one, Obscured by Clouds on vinyl. Probably gonna end up getting these eventually. Initially, I bought them on CD because I didn't care that. I mean, they were okay, but grown in stature for me. This album, I this was done in 3 weeks. They had gotten um, asked to do another soundtrack, and they were in the middle of putting stuff together for Dark Side of the Moon, and they threw this together in 3 weeks. And I think they did a pretty dang good job. This is getting more focused, and some people are like, I can hear remnants of Dark Side of the Moon in here. I can't. Not really. You can kind of tell that this was cobbled together quickly, but at the same time, it shows just how talented these guys were. This is a really good listen, to be honest with you. 1972 disc, anyway, and Obscured by Clouds. Don't get this cover at all. Nobody gets this cover. This is just, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, next one. A lot of people consider this a masterpiece. I think this is a great album. I think this album could be better, and I'll explain where and how. Pipers at the Gates of Dawn, the very first Pink Floyd album, 1967. This was Sid Barrett. This was Sid Barrett's Pink Floyd. And what that means is it wasn't the David Gilmour, Roger Waters 70s epic. This was whimsical psychedelia. Brit pop, whimsical psychedelia. I That's not even really, it's hard to label this album. It's just an amazing album, but you have to be in a totally different space to listen to this, to me. If you are not a really, even a moderate Pink Floyd fan, you just like Comfortably Numb and Another Brick in the Wall and Money, and not that that's bad, I'm not knocking you. But if that's really all you are and that's what you're into, and again, it's great, that's fine. This may take some getting used to. You may dig it. I really like this album. Now, I said that this could have been made better. Well, before this came out, Pink Floyd issued two singles, and you can find them on this. I don't know if this is even available anymore. This is an EP, a 6-song EP of the first three Pink Floyd singles. I'm not even, like I said, I'm not even sure if this is available anymore. I'm sure you could probably find this on Discogs for $10 or something. This has the the two first ones, See Emily Play and Arnold Lane. Great, great pop psychedelic songs, but I don't think that Sid Barrett liked them. And I know that their producer uh, wanted them on this album, but I think that the band was like, no, we're not a singles band, and they weren't. But this, if this stuff was put on here, well, this would have even gone up even further. But 1967, Pipers at the Gate of Dawn, Pink Floyd, with the late great Sid Barrett at the helm. Classic album. Now we're really getting into. We have one, two, three, four albums left. I mean, these are all drop dead classics. This one, people, I hear some people say this is perfect all the way through, and I challenge that. Now, maybe you're gonna shoot me for this, but Metal. This was the first Pink Floyd album that I had ever heard, and I was 5 years old. My brother brought home the A track of this in 1971, and I found it interesting. Now, mind you, I was 5 years old, so I wasn't like, this is incredibly artistic and incredibly progressive, and Pink Floyd is finally found there. I was like, kind of long, especially that one song, really long, talking about echoes, but it's kind of cool. I, as time went on, obviously this album has grown on me. Now, why is this not a perfect album? There's some stuff on side one, come on, that isn't. I don't want to use the word filler, okay, because that would really hurt some people's feelings. But um, compared to the majority of this album, if there's a thing or two on here that you just can't stack up to it. Now, I don't skip it. I listen to this all the way through, but um, again, for the most part, 99% drop dead classic. And this is really, I agree with most people. This is where Pink Floyd became the Pink Floyd that we know and love. Listen to Echoes. Dedicate 20 plus minutes of your day to listen to Echoes. You won't be disappointed. As long as you like Pink Floyd, as long as you like elongated Pink Floyd, this is it, man. This is great stuff. Okay. Next one, 1977. I paid $2.99 for this back about 1985 at Nuggets. I remember it. Nuggets Records in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right on the outskirts kind of Boston. I was living down there at the time, and I lived at Nuggets for a year or two. I just love that store. I think they're still around. I don't know what they're like now. If you are in the Boston area and drop a comment down in the down in the comment section here. If Nuggets is still around, I think they are. I don't know what they're like now, but in the 80s, man, and in the 70s, man, they were a great record store in your ear. So many great record stores in Boston. I wish I was still down there. I live up in Maine now, and there's some okay record stores up here, but I don't mean to knock anybody, but you know, $2.99 back in '85. I paid for this, and well worth it. A great album from start to finish. Roger Waters really had control of the band here. Uh, although this is really social, heavy duty social commentary, I can deal with this a lot better than I can deal with The Wall. A, because it's a single album, and B, I don't know. I just think he was wittier talking about Roger Waters in his writing and his portrayal of different classes of society and stuff. I find it easier to handle. Unfortunately for the band, this was really where things were really getting a lot of friction and stuff. But you wouldn't know it by listening to this album. I wouldn't notice it. Great album. Number 3 for me. Animals, 1977. Number 2 could be tomorrow. Could be number 1. I will agree that this is their crowning achievement. By far, it's the commercially most successful album. You know where I'm going. Crowning achievement. I mean, tomorrow, this could be my number 1 album. It's just today, this is where I'm at. But Dark Side of the Moon. What can you say about this? I remember when this came out. Again, brother went out and got this. At this point in time, I was what 7, 8 years old. I got this. 7 or 8 years old. I was like, this is really cool. Even at that age, it was a it it's just it flows so well. It's perfect. There's just and the great beautiful thing about this, even though Roger Waters is like, that's my album. I did it all, and it wouldn't have happened without me. I came up with the theme, and the band was all involved in this. Especially more, I mean, yes, Roger Waters wrote some, and I don't mean to crap all over Roger Waters. I mean, it is what it is. But he wrote some amazing lyrics. The concept, wonderful. The rest of the band's contributions on this album, you can't overlook them. Absolutely amazing. People that don't even care that much for Pink Floyd, they like this album. This was on the Billboard album charts. It probably still is, but it was, what, 8, 10, 11 years straight without falling off from the time that it was released. And like I said, it's probably on the album charts now. It still sells really well. Fantastic album. 1973, Dark Side of the Moon. Okay, number 1, numero uno for today. For today. I was listening to this about a week ago and just was like, this is so damn good. Just encapsulates everything that Pink Floyd is for me. Elongated pieces, not maybe as long as Echoes or Atom Heart Mother, but with Shine On You Crazy Diamond, it's a fairly long piece. Builds up so beautifully and just explodes. You know, you've got David Gilmour's guitar work. This, oh, by the way, like you don't know, right? Wish You Were Here, 1975. This is where this has got some amazing David Gilmour guitar work, just amazing. And Rick Wright shined on this album. He really shined. I love his keyboard work on this. Beautiful layering. The rest of the band, I mean, I know that there was some friction starting at this time, um, but and they were kind of at a loss after having Dark Side of the Moon being this massive success. How do you follow up Dark Side of the Moon? Seriously, any of you who are, even if you're not a musician, one of the greatest albums, most successful albums of all time. What are you going to do? Yes. No, maybe in a lot of ways it's not as great as Dark Side of the Moon, but it moves me. The the sentiment on here of this really is um, kind of in many ways centered around Sid Barrett and his absolute mental and emotional disintegration. And the band really just loved him and felt really bad. And it came out, like I said, it came out more than once in themes. I mean, many songs about insanity and things like that by Floyd, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of that stuff was inspired by watching Sid Barrett go through his stuff. But Wish You Were Here. What a sentiment. What a sweet sentiment. You know, wish you could still be here. Oddly enough, I guess he showed up during the recording. Now this okay, no. Again, comment below if this kind of registers with you too. Sid Barrett walks into the studio, bald and fat. Nobody recognizes him. Sits down and observes them making this album. So says the band. Now I'm not calling the band a liar, but let's dig into this just a little bit. Say I walked into the studio in 1975, into a Pink Floyd recording studio, sat down, and just started them watching record. You think somebody would go, "Hey, who are you? Get out of here"? They didn't do it to Sid. I don't know what. Maybe one or two people recognized him, and the rest of the band just didn't get it for a while. I don't know, but I always thought about that whenever I heard the stories of him coming into the studio and looking so bad, and we didn't even really. He looked so bad we didn't even realize it was him. Okay, I whatever. Still an amazing friggin' album. It's my number one album for today. For today. Tomorrow, maybe. Right? I don't know. But anyway, again, let me know what you think. What's your favorite Pink Floyd album? What do you think is the worst album? Do you think Uma Guma is a turd? As that one British YouTuber? A turd. A blimey turd. Uh, or do you really dig it? I know some people that really dig Uma Guma. Uma Guma. Uma Guma. Whatever you want to call it. What do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? You think I'm on the dark side of the moon for my picks? That's great. Let me know. Be nice about it, but let me know. Comment. Love your comments. Also, really, again, would appreciate you liking and subscribing and telling a friend that Scotty's Record Shop is back in town and open for business. I really appreciate it. I really want to grow this channel. And I do this for you guys. I really like doing this, and hopefully you enjoy it. And again, this was a long video. It's a ranking video, and I'm going to do more of these. I like doing these actually. I like watching other people's ranking videos. Um, Let me know too. Who would you like me to rank? You know, I don't know. More of a classic rock kind of stuff that would be better. I don't have a lot of Foo Fighter albums or Nirvana. or stuff like that, or Pearl Jam. I mean, I've got some stuff, but I'm not really not like this stuff. Not like the Kinks and the Stones and the Beatles and things like that, and Zeppelin. I mean, I'm kind of boring when it comes to that. But let me know what you want to see in videos. I'm open. I've already gotten a few suggestions, and I'm definitely taking them into consideration. Okay. Okay. Again, thank you for putting up with me and spending the last half hour or so with me. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, everybody, peace and love.